people who see your vision as a mastermind and believe in the possibilities. The people who have a lesser vision at the stage they're in, as they're unfolding theirs, will always want to bring you according to their values into their vision. But know that if you follow your vision and stay with it and shine and become fortunate in many ways, that you will eventually inspire those same people that once criticized you to go on and do greater vision in their own life. When I was in school, my tires were slit, my window was knocked out, my antenna was ripped, and my apartment was thrown things at, because I made the top grades, and the curves of the school were based on the top grades. And if you made 100, there was no curve. And so many of the people started to fail because I was in the class. People were very upset. They criticized me. They wanted me out of the school. But I stayed with it. And one of the teachers came to me and said, "We're going to give you a special placement. You're going to teach the class. You don't have to take the class." Now the students were dependent on me. And I inspired them to believe in new possibilities. And today, the 6 doctors that once slit my tires are in my classes. And we're best friends. So you hold on to your vision. Do not sacrifice your vision for others to try to keep friends. Inspire them to their greatness. You'll always be supported and challenged. Whenever you are challenged, always look for who's supporting you. They will always be there. You'll never get a crisis without a blessing. You'll never get a challenge without a support. You'll never get a criticism without a praise. The master sees the pair of opposites at the same moment and dances with thankfulness, because the pair of opposites always make love. And they're guiding you and testing you to whether you believe you deserve what it is you dream. Pass the test. Thank them for their criticism. Know that you will lead them in the future, and go out and shine.
Well, every time we see what I call the divine order, the magnificent implicate order of the universe, we grow and emerge a new concentric sphere of thinking. Our sphere of influence and our sphere of awareness expands on the great deep, as Emerson said. But I do believe that we have two sides to our nature and a center. When we exaggerate ourselves and puff ourselves up, we get proud, you might say. And what we do is we tend to think that others are less important than us, and we tend to go towards narcissism, and we want to receive from others and have them do things for us because we think we're more important than them. When we beat ourselves up and minimize ourselves, we tend to think others are more important than us, and we want to do things for others, and we become more altruistic. One that is focused on service, the other is focused on reward. When you're true to yourself and balanced in yourself, you realize that the people around you are not below you or above you. They're reflections of you. And that's when you actually integrate yourself and you do a service, but you also allow yourself a reward. And the person who can embrace service and rewards, sensory, or motor and sensory, I call it, this is a person that's fulfilled and keeps growing. The person that's stuck on one side or the other, where they're totally into receiving or totally into giving and not giving and receiving, they get stuck in a stagnant recycling circumstance, you might say, instead of the new dance. And nature provides feedback to make sure that if we go too far one way or too far the other way, we get honed back into the center. So people who eventually sacrifice their life for others because they're minimizing themselves from guilt of the past or maybe hidden agendas of the future, they eventually get frustrated and they realize, hey, I deserve something too. And the people that go this way become philanthropic because they realize it doesn't continue. So nature equilibrates. The will of God, says St. Augustine, is the equilibrium of the heart and mind. So I say, don't exaggerate or minimize who you are, but embrace the fullness of who you are. Have full reflections of everything and everyone around you, as Aristotle said, and share your love and receive love.
Thank you for this question, because many people have this question. Listen, please, carefully. It is never what happens to you that matters. It's how you perceive it, what decision you make out of it, and how you act from it. William James, the father of psychology, said, the greatest realization in his generation was that human beings can alter their lives by altering their perceptions and attitudes of mind. No matter what happens to your life, whether supportive or challenging, you want to master the art of taking the challenging events and asking, how are they helping me fulfill my mission? How are those events helping me on my goals? Because the very thing you think is challenging, a day, a week, a month, a year, or 5 years later, you will discover was exactly what you needed on the step to your journey. So don't see things as obstacles or challenges. See them as opportunities and fuel. And ask the question, how is this serving my ultimate objective? And you can take something you think is negative and you will turn it into something you'll be thankful for. Now, the human mind lives with positive and negative, like a magnet. If we're having negative thoughts, I don't say cancel them out. I say learn from them. They're trying to guide you to set realistic objectives that you have plans for. Whenever I have a negative thought about myself, that means I'm expecting something outside my values, or I'm expecting something that's not planned out and broken down into small enough bites that I can see myself accomplishing. And my negative thinking brings me back to set true goals that inspire me and plan them. If I'm angry at somebody else and I have negativity towards others, it's because I'm expecting them to live outside their values, or I'm expecting them to be always one-sided and never both-sided, like all people. So my negativity can give me service if I know how to interpret it, because it's letting me know when I have a delusion and a false expectation on myself or other people, or on the universe. So instead of trying to get rid of it, understand how to use it and transform it and be thankful and hold on to a true vision. Because if we set unrealistic expectations, we must have that side to break our addictions to fantasies. Negative thinking is in our psyche for a purpose. It has been here since recorded history. It is not something to get rid of. It is something to appreciate, that it's making sure that we don't set fantasies and delusions. The Buddha said, the desire for that which is unattainable is a source of human suffering. Make sure that what you set is aligned to your values. You can see it clearly. And if not, chunk it down into smaller bites that you can take action steps. Don't be afraid to delegate things to get people to help you. And give yourself reasonable time frames. And then just stay with it and persevere. Perseverance conquers all fear and brings all dreams to our heart.
There is a science of how to take the mind into equilibrium and see the order and open the heart. The heart automatically opens when the mind is in balance. But as long as the mind is imbalanced, it will have emotions that will close the heart. Love is not an emotion. It's a synthesis and synchronicity of all complementary opposite emotions. The moment you see the complementation synchronously and synthesize them, out comes gratitude and love every time. So there's a science to it. Once you apply the science, you get the result. Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, said that we live in a universe of a dynamic equilibrium of complementary opposites. For everything, there's its opposite. And when the human mind sees one side without its opposite, it becomes imbalanced and poisoned instead of poised. And when it does, it gets caught in its emotional, irrational, fractionated perspective, which then leaves your intuition trying to hone you in to see the other side. And wisdom occurs when you see both sides at the same moment. And so the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask. If you ask wise questions that reveal the side that you're not seeing and balance them, out comes gratitude and love and certainty, because you now know that that's the truth. And that's what the hidden order is, that there's a complementation of opposites. And when you see them fully at the same moment, You're graced by the presence of the order.
When I walk in a mall, I see books. When my wife used to walk in the mall, she saw shoes. When my son walks in a mall, he sees audio CD programs from rock and roll. When my daughter, middle daughter, walks in the mall, she sees fashion clothes. When my oldest daughter walks in the mall, she sees slacks. The hierarchy of your values dictates what you see in the world, what you act upon in the world, and where you make decisions and intentions. If you feel you're not manifesting in the area that you want, it's because you have something higher on your values than you realize what you want. So take what you say you want and stack it up higher and higher and higher and higher in the values until your life demonstrates it's manifesting. If you are taking action step consistently on a daily basis towards what you say you want, that's a sign that what you say you want is high in your values. But if you procrastinate and hesitate on the things you say you want, that means there's things higher on your values, and you will only frustrate yourself unless you either change your goals to match your true values or change your values to match your goals. Either love what you're doing or go do what you love. It's all value driven. Your emotions are based on perceptions. If you perceive more positive than negative, you go towards happiness. You stimulate dopamine and enkephalons, oxytocin, endorphins, and you can become infatuated and addicted to that which you see. If you see more drawbacks than benefits, or pain and pleasure, you create new polypeptides in the brain, and you repel, and it hurts, and you repel from it. Your emotions are perfect reflections of your perceptions, which are a byproduct of your values. No matter what happens to your life, all events have a pair of opposites. They're always balanced. If you choose to see more positives than negatives and become infatuated, it will consume you. If you see more negatives than positives and become resentful, it will consume you. But if you learn to ask questions that balances your perceptions, you will dissolve your emotions and liberate you from the bondage of those misperceptions and return you to gratitude and love, which allows you to be inspired again. So it's not what happens to you, it's your perception of what happens, and you always have command over your perceptions. May you empower your life with that. Great question. You make a picture of your dream. You cut out pictures. You make a vision or storyboard. You hold the vision. You chunk it down into small bites. Every day, you read an articulated statement about that vision. You state it in 15 words or less, exactly how you want that. And you visualize it like you're doing. But when you chunk down those actions to small bites and put reasonable time frames on them, you put them on your day planner, your daily objectives. You hold the vision and you work every day on a little step. Every day you're taking an action step, you're moving closer to that vision. If new steps emerge in your mind, quicker ways, you shed old ways and move on to more efficient ways. But don't lose the vision. But every day take an action step. Either this action step or something greater. Every day you say, either these action step or something greater towards my vision every day.
If you embrace the box that you have and love it, it dissolves, and you find yourself with a bigger present. Every box is a present to a mind that seeks the truth and the order that sits in the box. You know, he said that when you're kissing a girlfriend, 2 hours seems like 2 moments. When you're waiting for a freight train, 2 moments seems like 2 hours.